Hamlet was brought before the king under guard. Polonius was dead. He had been stabbed behind the curtain in Gertrude's chamber, and Hamlet had dragged the body away before anyone could stop him. Now the prince stood before Claudius with dark eyes and a bitter calm. Not broken, not frightened. That was the worst of it. "Now, Hamlet," Claudius said, keeping his voice controlled, "where is Polonius?" Hamlet looked at him. "At supper." A faint unease moved through the room. Claudius did not let himself react. "At supper?" "Not where he eats," Hamlet said. "Where he is eaten." Gertrude's breath caught softly. Hamlet smiled without warmth. "Worms are busy with him now. They do not care whether a man served a king, advised a king, or hid behind a curtain for one." Claudius felt the words strike closer than Hamlet could prove. A body hidden. A king watched. A secret rotting somewhere beneath Denmark. He kept his face still. This was exactly why Hamlet could not stay. The prince was dangerous when he raged. More dangerous when he laughed. "Enough," Claudius said. "Where is he?" "In heaven," Hamlet answered. "Send someone there to look for him." No one spoke. Hamlet's eyes sharpened. "If your messenger does not find him there, perhaps you should search somewhere lower yourself." For one moment, Claudius felt the room tilt toward the truth. He saw again the chapel, his knees on the stone, his mouth forming prayers that could not rise, because his crime still lived in his hands. Hamlet knew, or almost knew, or knew enough. Claudius stepped closer. "You will tell us where the body is." "If you do not find him soon," Hamlet said, "you will smell him." Claudius turned to an attendant. "Search near the stairs. Take men with you." The attendant hurried out. Hamlet watched him go. "He will wait." There was laughter inside the words, but no joy. Claudius studied him carefully. He could not put Hamlet on trial. Not here, not now. The people loved the prince. They saw grief in him. They saw the wounded son of a murdered king. If Claudius struck openly, every whisper in Denmark would turn back toward the throne. No. Hamlet had to disappear cleanly, with reason, with ceremony, with the appearance of care. "For your own safety," Claudius said, "you must leave Denmark at once." Hamlet's face changed only slightly. "For my safety. And for the peace of this court, you will go to England. The ship is ready." Rosencrantz and Guildenstern stood behind him, silent and obedient. Hamlet glanced toward them. The look was enough. He knew they were not companions. Not anymore. "For England," Hamlet said. "Yes." Claudius waited for anger, resistance, a public scene. Hamlet gave him none. Instead, he smiled. "Good." The word was too calm. "Good," Hamlet repeated. "For England." He turned toward Gertrude. "Farewell, dear mother." Claudius corrected him at once. "Your loving father, Hamlet." Hamlet looked back. "My mother." The room tightened. Claudius kept his expression gentle. Hamlet's voice stayed soft. "Father and mother are man and wife. Man and wife are one flesh, so, my mother." The insult entered quietly and stayed. Claudius felt the heat of it beneath his ribs, but he did not show it. A king could not bleed from words, not in front of witnesses. Hamlet bowed. "Come," he said to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, "for England." Then he left. The doors closed behind him. For a moment, Claudius listened to the fading footsteps. Only then did he breathe. Gertrude stood beside him, pale and silent. Perhaps she believed England was exile. Perhaps she needed to believe it. Claudius did not look at her. His eyes went instead to the sealed letters waiting on the table. The order was already written inside them. Hamlet would not be judged in Denmark. He would not be imprisoned where the people could pity him. He would not be allowed to stand in court and turn madness into accusation. He would be sent to England with royal smiles, guarded by men who thought they were only escorting him. But the letters carried a darker command. When Hamlet reached English soil, he was to be killed. No trial, no public scandal, no Danish witnesses. England would receive him. England would obey, and Hamlet would die far from the eyes that loved him. Claudius picked up the letter and pressed the royal seal into the wax. "See that he boards tonight," he said. "No delay." The attendant took the order and bowed. When the door closed again, the room felt colder. Polonius was dead. Gertrude was shaken. The prince was being carried toward the sea. But until word came from England, nothing was finished. Not while Hamlet breathed. By morning, Hamlet was already on the road to the coast. Elsinore had fallen behind him, its towers fading into the gray distance. Ahead waited the ship to England. Beside him rode Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, too quiet to be friends and too polite to be jailers. Hamlet did not ask where their loyalty had gone. He could see it. It walked with the king now. The road opened into a wide plain, and there Hamlet saw them, an army. Norwegian soldiers crossed the land in long, dark lines, banners snapping in the cold wind. Horses pulled wagons through the mud. Spears rose and fell like a forest of iron. Hamlet slowed. "Whose army is this?" A captain turned in his saddle. "Norway's, my lord." "Commanded by Fortinbras?" "Yes." The name stayed with Hamlet. Fortinbras, another prince with a dead father's shadow behind him. "And where are they going?" "To Poland." "For what?" The captain gave a small shrug. "A patch of ground, worth almost nothing except the name." Hamlet looked past him at the marching men. "So many lives for so little?" "It is already defended," the captain said, "so it must be taken." Then he rode on. Hamlet stood still for a moment longer. The soldiers kept moving. They were going to bleed for land, too poor to reward them, and too small to hold their graves. And still, they went. Hamlet felt shame burn under his skin. Fortinbras could lead men to death for honor. Hamlet had a murdered father, a stolen crown, and a king whose guilt had finally shown its face. And still, he had hesitated. Rosencrantz called from the road. "My lord, the ship." Hamlet looked once more at the army disappearing into the distance. Then he turned away. From this moment, his thoughts would be blood. Or they would be nothing. The ship was waiting when they reached the harbor. Its dark hull rose and fell against the dock. Sailors moved quickly across the deck. The sea beyond it looked cold and merciless. Hamlet stopped at the gangplank. England. The word had sounded clean in Claudius's mouth. It did not feel clean here. Rosencrantz came beside him. "We should board, my lord." Hamlet looked at him. For a second, he saw another man in the same face, younger, warmer, laughing in Wittenberg over wine and foolish arguments that lasted until morning. Then the memory passed. This Rosencrantz belonged to the king. "And you know why I am being sent?" Hamlet asked. "For your safety," Rosencrantz said. Guildenstern stood behind him, silent. Hamlet almost smiled. "My safety?" He stepped closer. "You are sponges." Rosencrantz frowned. "My lord?" "Sponges," Hamlet said. "You soak up the king's favors, his smiles, his rewards, his little secrets." Guildenstern's face tightened. "That is not fair." "No," Hamlet said. "It is court." The wind pulled at his cloak. "And when he has taken what he needs from you, he will squeeze you dry." For a moment, Rosencrantz looked hurt. Hamlet saw it, and hated that some part of him still cared. Then he looked toward the ship. "Come," he said, "let us see what England wants with me." They sailed before nightfall. Denmark vanished behind them, cliff by cliff, tower by tower, until there was nothing but sea. Hamlet stood at the rail as darkness gathered. Somewhere on this ship, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern carried sealed letters from the king. He had not seen them opened. He did not know what they contained. But Claudius had smiled too carefully. That was enough. By the second day, the weather turned. Clouds dropped low over the water. Wind snapped the sails. Sailors shouted through the rain, dragging ropes across the slick deck. Then a cry came from above. "Sail!" Another ship was cutting toward them through the gray water. Fast. Too fast. The captain cursed. Men ran for weapons. Rosencrantz grabbed the rail. Guildenstern went pale. The word passed from mouth to mouth. Pirates. The ships collided with a scream of wood and iron. Hooks flew. Ropes caught. Men leapt between decks. The world became rain, blades, shouting, and the violent rise and fall of the sea. Hamlet was thrown hard against the side of the ship. Across the chaos, he saw the pirate deck swing close, then begin to pull away. A gap opened. A choice. He did not think. He jumped. He hit the other deck badly, pain tearing through his shoulder. Hands seized him at once. He fought, twisted, struck one man across the face. But there were too many. "Hold him!" The ships broke apart. Hamlet looked back. Through the rain, he saw Rosencrantz and Guildenstern on the Danish ship, their faces small and stunned as the distance widened between them. Then they were gone. The ship to England sailed on without him. The letters sailed on without him. Claudius' plan had lost its prisoner. The pirate captain stepped in front of him, studying his clothes, his face, the royal quality he could not hide. "You look valuable," the captain said. Hamlet breathed hard, tasting blood in his mouth. "Then you are wiser than most men who have taken me captive." The captain smiled, not kindly, but with interest. Later, when the storm had passed, Hamlet was given paper and ink. The pirates wanted favor. Hamlet wanted a way back to Denmark. So while the ship carried him toward shore, he wrote to Horatio. He told him he was alive. He told him pirates had taken him from the ship before it reached England. He told him Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were still sailing on without him. And he told him to trust the sailors who carried the letter. When they reached Denmark, they would find Horatio first. They would bring him to Hamlet before Hamlet showed his face again at court. Hamlet paused, because the rest was too dangerous for paper. There were things Horatio had to hear from his own mouth. He dipped the pen again. "Let these sailors bring you to me. Come quickly. There are things I must tell you that cannot be trusted to paper." He signed his name. The king had sent him away to die, but the sea had returned him, and Denmark would soon learn that Hamlet was not finished. Back in Elsinore, Ophelia was breaking. Laertes was coming home, and grief was about to become rebellion.